Welcome back to your weekly podcast of What's the Story? It's me, your host, Eve Liz, where we talk about life, faith, and culture. And today we're going to be talking about enjoying life and immorality. Enjoying life versus immorality. Basically, where do we draw the line? What is enjoying life, and compare it with immorality to see where some may fall into the trap of being immoral and making unwise decisions. And then we will look at things that people find fun and discuss some of the impacts of these things we think are fun. Well, maybe they're not going to be fun years later when you're a grown-up and you realize you didn't make very wise decisions when you were young. We're going to see the consequences of immorality in these episodes. Some of the things we ignore that come after our decisions that are based off of immorality, and then we're going to draw a line between fun and immorality. So stay till the end. Don't forget to give us a like, subscribe to our channel on YouTube, rate our show on Spotify, and let's get into this episode. So what is enjoying life? Number one, I think that's where we should start and actually know what it means. Enjoying life is engaging in activities that bring happiness, relaxation, and fulfillment, whether through socializing, through hobbies, through spending time alone, traveling, celebrations, even celebrating your own personal achievements. That is enjoying life, and it looks different to different people because not everyone is the same and we don't enjoy the same things the same way. So some might enjoy life by socializing, others might enjoy life by spending time alone, and it's okay because everyone enjoys different things. And then immorality, on the other hand, is any behavior that goes against ethical or moral standards. Often it results into harming oneself or harming others. But in many cultures, this is different, and it can include excessive drinking, drug use, or reckless actions, that lead to negative consequences. And today we're going to be talking specifically into drinking and drug use because I think that's what the majority of people are doing, thinking it's fun or enjoying life, which is not. Allow me to break the news. Just stay with me, okay? Stay with me. We'll get to that point and you'll see my point and the bottom line. So, why do people find wild parties and drinking fun? Some people find that very amusing and, enjoyable. The first biggest reason is peer influence and social pressure. I know, you might be thinking, this girl, she always talks about peer influence. Of course I always do, because it's a big thing. Many people engage in heavy drinking and partying simply because it is perceived as normal or trendy, even if they think they might be better off doing something else. Social acceptance is like the biggest thing ever these days. Like everyone will do anything to feel socially accepted, and this can fuel the behavior of just peer influence and of just heavy drinking and wild parties so that you don't feel left out. And then some also find, drinking and wild parties fun just to seek escape, you know. Maybe you are going through academic stress or, life challenges, family drama, and many youth will seek an escape, or something to get their mind off of every other thing that is going on in their life, and to feel very free from responsibilities, and then they just end up drinking and wild partying. And then sometimes it feels thrilling and exciting, there's just like an adrenaline rush when people are like pushing boundaries and being rebellious against what the society norms are, what pressure your parents are putting you on, or your family members or your guardians. And you just want to do things to the extreme, be like, I'm not confined to the standards of, what the society says or the family says, And I also think there's something to do with media and pop culture, movies, music, and influencers has glamorized these wild lifestyles, and people think it's desirable, when you look at your favorite celebrities from the West or, from Europe, you're like, they're living a good life. That's a desirable and fun life I would want for myself, So media and pop culture has also influenced the way we think about wild parties and drinking. Some people find that very attractive because of what the media says. So what are the risks of morality? I think the risks are negative, That's just my opinion. I think the consequences of immorality are negative. There's no positive outcome from being immoral. Maybe you don't even know where the line is. Maybe you don't even know, like, where's the line of, enjoying life and, being immoral. Maybe you don't even know that there's a boundary, or you don't even, like, critically think about that as a thing, So number one, the consequences of immorality is health risks. When you drink excessively, it can lead to alcohol poisoning. It can lead to addiction. It can lead to liver damage, life-threatening accidents, when you're driving or you're in a car with someone who's drunk. Can I continue? Like, the list is long. There's a long list of health risks that come from excessive drinking, especially from a young age. We gotta be careful. Secondly, there's mental and emotional impact. Partying too hard and engaging in reckless behavior can often lead to regret, to shame, and when you wake up in the morning, with a crazy hangover, you're like, what have I done, And sometimes you can't necessarily voice that out and, speak it with your people or quote unquote your friends you drink with, because you just feel shameful and it's just like a back thought in your head. You're like, what have I done? It's messy and you think, your life could be better, but you're just trapped in this cycle of drinking again and again, and you still feel shameful of your acts. And it can also lead to long-term mental health issues, like anxiety and depression. I think we talked a little bit about this in our one of our episodes about mental health. Go ahead and check that out. But excessive drinking leads to mental health and emotional problems. Another big consequence is damaged relationships, your behavior of like drinking and going home late at night drunk, it can strain relationships with your friends, your family, or significant other people in your life, because these habits are repeated, these bad decisions you keep on making, and it just like breaks a trust in your family members or your closest ones, and it can cause isolation. They tend to not want to spend time with you because they don't trust you to make proper decisions, proper life decisions. And then when you constantly party and you're living a reckless life, it can often distract you from personal goals and ambitions, and you tend to live your life aimlessly, with a lack of direction, because you don't really think about tomorrow. You don't really know what tomorrow looks like. All you can think of is, where are we going this weekend? Maybe you can find a job just to be able to sustain your life for a little bit, but you don't look ahead and have personal long-term goals and ambitions. So that can also lead to a loss of purpose, and these are some of the consequences, negative consequences of crazy parties and fun drinking. Well, it's not fun, but these are some of the consequences of a wild and reckless life. So where do we draw the line between fun and immorality? Because maybe someone doesn't know how to have fun and enjoy life, but at the same time not crossing the boundaries of being immoral or engaging in immorality. One thing you can do is have some self-respect and boundaries. So true enjoyment of life doesn't have to come at the cost of your health, of your values, or your relationships. You need to set clear boundaries for yourself and think, okay, when I go out, this is the amount of money I'm going to spend. This is who I'm going to go with, and they have to be people you can trust. And this is when I'll get back home. So beyond this hour, I will not be outside still partying and drinking. When you have a work day the next day, you gotta go home and sleep. Like, sleep is very important. So you just have to set clear boundaries to yourself and know when to stop and walk away from situations that might harm you. So if you're driving, rather leave the car home, take an Uber or public transport to go, rather than engaging in a situation of driving yourself that can actually harm you when you're drunk. So that's one thing: self-respect and boundaries. And then you need to know the balance. You need to balance enjoyment with responsibility, because you're responsible for your actions. And you can have fun, but it doesn't necessarily have to cost you your well-being, your next morning, your health, and your personal goals. So if you're having fun and it's not aligning with your long-term goals, do not do that. So for example, for me, I know sleep is very important. Like, I need 9 hours of sleep every day. That means when I go to socialize with my friends or my family, I know I have to be at home before 9 p.m. because that's bedtime for me. I need to be under my bed sheets 9:30, like, period. So that means everything I do, if it's not in line with that goal that I've set for myself, then I'm not balancing enjoyment with responsibility. So you need to find a balance between enjoyment and responsibility. And maybe for you, you need to first write down or fix what are my long-term well-being health goals. What are my my life goals, my personal goals? Because if you know those, then you're not gonna want to forget about them when you're having fun. And then you need to make mindful choices. Think about, what if I spend time and energy doing this? What is this going to bring to me in return? Is it just a temporary thrill? If so, be mindful and know that that's not worth all your energy and money and time, if it's for just a temporary thrill. Because don't be fooled that having crazy drinking and parties is going to help you bring meaningful connections. That's not a guarantee. But if you're like, okay, go to an event where people are drinking but responsibly, and you get to have a good chat, no wild parties, then probably you might get some meaningful connections. Who knows? You just need to be mindful of your choices. Always ask yourself, is this just for a temporary thrill and enjoyment? If so, it's not worth your decisions. It's not worth your time and energy. And also consider the impact on others. Honestly, sometimes you think, oh, it's my life, I can do whatever I want with my life, but you're not necessarily thinking that it might impact others. Maybe those around you, maybe the people who care about you, maybe the people who truly care about you are saddened by the fact that you're living this type of lifestyle and engaging in wild activities. Know that it might hurt your friends and family if you really care about how they feel. And also consider your future children. Imagine you're a grandparent or maybe a parent, and your children are seeing your videos on Instagram maybe, and they're like, wow, so this is what my mom was doing, or this is what my dad was doing. What? Maybe they'll not be proud of you. I'm just saying, you need to think that your actions might not be something you're confident about you yourself when you're a grown-up and you're in your early 50s or something. You might be thinking, I was crazy. What was I thinking? I'm just saying, let's wake up. Let's not be delusional. And if you're into God, if you really believe God exists, you might as well consider, what does God say about my behavior? If really God was in the room with you alone, would he be proud of your behavior? ? Because for many, it means drawing the line comes from a personal conviction, from your faith values. Consider what you think modesty is, and what because faith can be a moral compass for you if you choose to make it priority in your life. Let's not be people who call themselves Christians, but they're living a double life. On a Sunday, you're a different person, but Sunday afternoon, you're like, heck, I'm gone, It's like two different people. You're doing crazy stuff, but Sunday morning, we look at you, you're raising your hands, you're clapping, saying amen and hallelujah, but it's on the flip side, during the week, you're a whole new person. Have some respect for your faith values if you call yourself a Christian. You need to go on a journey and ask yourself, what are my faith values? And maybe that could be a moral compass for you. So how do we enjoy life without crossing the line? You need to first evaluate your ways of having fun Maybe those ways are leading you into crossing the line without even you noticing. Maybe even before this podcast, you were thinking, I just enjoy life. Maybe you're not really, thinking that you are crossing the line. So you need to find healthy outlets for fun. There are so many ways, plenty ways to enjoy life without engaging in harmful behaviors. There are activities that are alcohol free, like traveling, hiking, learning new skills, spending quality time with your loved ones. There's so many activities. You just gotta be creative with what's relevant to your life. And the amount of money you spend on alcohol in parties, you can spend it on other good outlets for fun, and it is going to feel so much fulfilling and refreshing afterwards than drinking crazy alcohol. When I look at these alcohol ads, when they're advertising about like a new beer in town, it's just like models. They take models, these are like people who are really handsome and women that are very beautiful, and they're not drunk. They're just like sober people who are advertising for this beer, and they're not drunk. Why don't they like take a person who's drunk and use them for an alcohol drink advertisement? Have you ever wondered why? Have you ever wondered why people don't, like these beverage companies do not use drunk people to advertise their beverages? Have you ever wondered why? Because they know the impact the alcohol is going to have on you. But they'll use someone who's not drunk to advertise for that. It's not like when you drink alcohol, you stay like that. You'll stay, like a sober, put together, handsome man or woman. Not at all. Think about it. And then you can enjoy life without crossing the line by socializing without excess. You can have fun, but without excessively drinking. Without going to the extreme. Staying in your boundaries. When you've decided this is my boundary and I'm not gonna cross it, you can socialize without having excess, and be intentional with your fun. It all goes back to being intentional. Is this enriching to my life? Or is it derailing it? Is it killing my life instead of enriching it and, nourishing it? Make sure your fun is going to impact your long-term self. Your future you is going to be proud of. Oh, I had fun. I went, bungee jumping. By the way, that's one thing I want to do like so bad. And when you look back, you're going to be proud of yourself. Like, I went bungee jumping. I felt the adrenaline of my life when I jumped those kilometers down, Think about things that are more intentional that you can be proud of when you grow up. So guys, the line between enjoying life and immorality comes down to, being intentional, being aware of your actions, and having some respect for yourself and others. You can live a fulfilling, fun life without crossing into reckless or harmful behavior, You can be mindful of the choices you make and the impacts they have. So let's be people who are mindful of our actions, who enjoy life without crossing the line into immorality. Stay safe. Until next week, peace, love, and life.